Hello, welcome back to my channel, Rag-venturediaries, the home of outdoor challenge and adventure. My name's John. In my last video, I explained how on the 29th of May next year, I will be running the Everest Marathon, and that I had devised a specific program to prepare myself for that. This video is all about that. If that's the type of content you would enjoy, please hang around, but also like and subscribe down below for more. So, the training program. The training program's 24 weeks in duration, and it consists of 4 runs per week and 2 strength and conditioning sessions per week. The aim of the program is for me to build my volume, to build consistency, but also build running efficiency. So really contributing to my overall endurance capacity and fitness. I'm going to concentrate on low heart rate training interspersed with interval training. So the types of run that I'm going to be doing are interval sessions, run at zone 4 and zone 5, recovery sessions, run at zone 1, tempo sessions, run at maximum aerobic function or MAF, and then long runs, run at zone 2. Now before we dive into that any further, it's probably worthwhile me explaining a little bit about heart rate zones and MAF. So there are numerous approaches out there available for you to calculate your heart rate zones, and you need only get on Google and you're going to see loads, such as Borg, Carvonen, lactate threshold methods. But the most popular one is probably the rule of thumb, a rough method, 220 minus your age. So basically, if you were a 40-year-old runner, you would 220 minus 40 is 180. That gives you maximum heart rate. All of these methods, you need to know your maximum heart rate before you can apply the zonal approach to them. So if your maximum heart rate was 180, under the heart rate zone method, your zone 1 is 50 to 60%, zone 2 is 60 to 70%, zone 3 is 70 to 80%. You basically take your max heart rate 180 and multiply it by those percentages to see what bands you would want to be training within. 220 is a rough rule of thumb, and because of that it can result in artificially higher zones. It can also result therefore in overtraining and higher risk of injury. So it's widely accepted that a more appropriate zonal approach is one that requires a maximal test up front. So in the lactate heart rate method, it requires a 30-minute time trial. So a park run would suffice for that. And what you would do is you would run that flat out. The last 20 minutes, you would take your average heart rate and then you would multiply that by 0.95. So you would take 95% of that, and that would be your lactate threshold. You'd then be able to apply that against the zonal scale of factors and work out your heart rate zones in very, very similar way that we did for the 220 minus your age. The MAF approach, or maximum aerobic function, is an approach to training that aims to increase your overall aerobic efficiency. And it aims also to induce the body to burn fats as a fuel source as opposed to sugars. And in this way, you're running at an intensity and burning a fuel where you'll be able to run for longer, run more efficiency, fuel yourself more efficiently. You would be able to recover quickly and you would be less prone for injury. So it's got a lot of good things about it. A few caveats though to help any misunderstanding. MAF is not zone 2 training. It typically will be 10 to 15 beats per minute higher than zone 2 training. But neither is it zone 3 training, because zone 3 training is mostly aerobic, not fully aerobic, whereas MAF is fully aerobic. Therefore, it's probably better to say that you're at the top of zone 2 and bottom of zone 3, and that you're really hitting a sweet spot, which is allowing you to run faster for longer, be more efficient and recover better. The formula is 180 minus your age, which would give me 126. You then can deduct or give yourself credits for whether you've been ill recently or whether you're well trained. So I would give myself 5 beats per minute credit. So I would end up at 131 beats per minute as my MAF heart rate. Now I just want to throw a quick caveat in the end of that. We've discussed the heart rate zonal approach and the MAF approach, but I class myself as a club runner and therefore a semi-experienced runner, so I know I can go by feel when I'm on runs, and I'm also aware of the RPE scale of the rate or the rate of perceived exertion. So when I'm out running in these zones, I will also employ feel and think about RPE to see how I'm going. If things aren't quite going to plan, I can then test and adjust accordingly. So what does all of this mean for my specific training program? Well, my interval runs, I said, would be run at zone 4 and zone 5. That really for me is going to come out between 145 and 163 beats per minute, or a rate of perceived exertion between 9 and 10. So I really am running those hard and flat out. My recovery or easy runs will be run at zone 1, so I'm aiming below about 108 beats per minute. Well, that's going to take a fair amount of discipline to achieve that, and the RPE is quite low. It's between 2 and 3. My tempo runs run at MAF pace. We've already discussed my MAF pace is 131 beats per minute. I don't really want to exceed that, which is an RPE of 6 to 7. And then my long runs, which will be run at zone 2, round about 118 beats per minute, or an RPE of 3 to 4. What I want to do through this low heart rate training approach and the intervals is be adhere to my zones as best I possibly can. The next thing on the program is there's a couple of strength and conditioning sessions. Now I'll do 2 a week, one of which is going to be biased towards just increasing strength of core and legs. So I will be lifting in the gym reasonably heavy, but for low reps. So probably 6 sets of 4 repetitions, and I'll be covering things such as squats, deadlifts, seated leg presses, hamstring curls, leg extensions, lunges. We'll throw some core in there, and we'll probably tickle the upper body with a couple of press-ups. The second session per week will then be very running focused, and it will be more calisthenics based. It'll also do a lot of band work, so we'll be doing bridges, clamshells, calf raises, sciatic glides, all of that good type of stuff that really gets to the places that it's needed. But quite a lot of band work within that. So when we apply all of that into my training program, you can see that in the training program, I'm trying to build volume and consistency, but be quite wise about it. I want to build slow, and at my age, it's key that I avoid injury for consistency. I will employ deload weeks in the program every 3 to 4 weeks so that I can do that. But I'll also employ recovery weeks. After my races, I'll employ recovery weeks, probably drop down the frequency of the interval sessions as my recovery burden is quite high to avoid injury. And I'll also be doing minimal tapers into my races. So my tapers will be pretty short, maybe 2 to 3 days even, because I'm adopting a principle of train right up to or even train through my races. So what are my thoughts on all of this? Low heart rate training. Low heart rate training is going to take some dedication to stick to my zones, although I'm not going to be overly prescriptive to my zones. A lot of people say low heart rate training is just too slow for them, and I get that. But my thoughts are, when you're on a run and you find yourself going up a hill and you pop out of your zone, that's completely unacceptable. You just need to manage that, get back down into your zone, and the aim is at the end of the run having an average heart rate which places you within your zone, not being prescriptively in your zone every minute of the run. And then RPE and feel, I think that's very important for me. Relatively experienced runner, employing that rate of perceived exertion as a checklist and feel to seeing if I need to check, adjust, avoid injuries, anything like that. Many of my runs will be on trail, so I try and avoid impact. I'm going to try and do trail and fell, but inevitably there will be road training, and it's probably going to be a 60-40 split. And then I'm going to employ the Matt Fitzgerald 80-20 approach. So 80% of my training will be in the low to moderate zone, and 20% of my training will be in the high intensity zone. So performance recording and benchmarking. I'm going to use my Vertex 2S from Coros. I'm going to use their app. It's pretty good on the phone, pretty handy. And I'm going to record my data in a journal, but also on Strava. I'm going to basically be looking at metrics such as my critical training load, my training intensity, my training status, paying particular attention to my sleep, my recovery, and my overnight HRV scores. All of that data should enable me to manage the training approach properly and hopefully get the most out of my sessions. Follow me on this journey, because now we're going to get out, we're going to do some sessions, we're going to bring some live content to you so you can see the pain, but you can also see what I'm talking about when we're talking about low heart rate training and the varied terrain that I'll be going out and putting the miles in over. So thanks once again. Please like and subscribe, hit the notification bell, don't miss any content.